Here's my light linen colored burlap. I'm going to put the whole piece in. I didn't cut it or anything this time. Okay, we're just going to plunge this right into the water. Look how quick that changes to that rich color. Doesn't take long when you have all that coffee in there. Get most of the water out. Set it over here to drain out on the towel. And you can even do muslin. Muslin's great too. I like to use muslin for backgrounds of my altered work. Plunge in. Muslin's another natural fiber. Cotton duck. Cotton, fabrics, anything that's natural dyes really rich and nice. Beautiful. Now see, we want to make sure it's all done. Dip it in there again. My coffee is still warm. It's not cold. It's still warm, but I can manage handling things. That's the best time to do fabrics. But always test it. Please be very careful with hot coffee. Please. I'm going to let that set in there a moment. I think it's ready. Now once I have my fabric over here, now that we have our coffee dyed saturated fabric here, we try to drain out as much of the coffee and liquid that we can before we put it in the dryer. One nice way to do it, it's an old military secret for drying your clothes on the field. Put it in a towel, twist it. See if there's nothing left in there. Okay. You can twist it 2 or 3 times. It comes out practically dry. If you use a brand new towel, twist it again, it'll be more and more dry. This, though, is perfectly fine for putting in the dryer. I put my coffee dye burlap in a pillowcase, a king-size pillowcase. And I tie a knot. And I may do 2, excuse me, I may do 2 or 3 pillowcases. Tie a knot. Tight knot. The fabric would be inside. You have 3, 4 pillowcases full of fabric. The reason I do this, and I throw it in the dryer. The reason I do this is because there's a lot of strings that start coming off, and I don't like them in my dryer. I'm afraid they might get caught in the corners or cracks, and I don't want to ruin my dryer. And also, when you just throw this in, which I've done dozens of times, it ruins your dryer. The color gets all over the dryer. If you put a white shirt in there afterwards, you have a mess. So this helps. So I throw this in the dryer, and I leave it on about, like you would normal to dry something like this, half an hour. And then when I take it out of the pillowcase, it has the most beautiful look to it because the threads have come apart and it looks gorgeous. One thing that you still want to do is wipe your dryer out because I might have some brown in there from the coffee and you don't want to ruin your clothes if you're going to put it in next time. So, okay, now we're back to our tags. And with all the tags that we've dyed, about over 1,000, we need room because I like to put them straight out on my granite counter. If you don't have granite, you can use cookie trays or I think you can even put them on a formica. I just put them on my granite and let them dry. My shelves are full of tags. So let's get started drying our tags. One thing I want to mention about the coffee, I've put my stock pot of coffee away. If you use distilled water, you can store your coffee for a period of time. If you just use tap water, the coffee will go bad and get mold on it, so you just toss it out. So that's the secret to having your coffee dye last longer. Here we go, we're going to start drying out our tags. I just lay them on the counter. I work fairly fast. And if they curl up, nice. I do not iron my tags. Some people do. I like them to look natural. I put them as close together as I can because I want to get as many out as I can. One thing you could do is add a little character to your tags if you want by sprinkling on a little instant coffee right when it still has a sheen on the tags when they're drying, or if they're a little too dry, just spray it with a little mist and sprinkle a little coffee granules around, just for a little effect. I don't do it on all my tags, just a few. I've got, actually this is an old vintage shaker. I'm going to put my coffee in it, not much, just a little coffee in it. There's thick granules and thin, fine granules. It's only the fine granules that are going to work with this. Okay, there we go. These are just starting to dry. They're a little bit wet, still a little damp. These are perfect for sprinkling coffee on to get the effect I'm talking about. The reason I like to use a little shaker is it's a little more control about how much coffee you put on. You can just put them on, pinching the coffee between your fingers. If it's a little too dry, you can mist it. As you can see, you don't quite have the control you have with the shaker. Mist it again if you want. I like to sprinkle it. Another thing you could do is take your coffee and crunch it up with a spoon or throw it in a real fine food processor so you have more pieces that are fine. But I don't like a lot of sprinkles. I like it natural. I'm getting a little hot coffee. I'm going to pour it in the saucer. This isn't just my dirty dishes stacked up here. I have a reason for these being here. I'm going to make coffee rings on my tags. This is how you do it. Dip your cup into the coffee, just barely touch it. Set it on a few tags. Come back later and see how those look. As you notice, my kitchen is filled with tags. They're drying. Tags here. Tags all over the counter. Tags over on the stove area. The tags are still drying. Sometimes if I try to hurry the drying up, I'll just flip the tags over. But you do not need to. So in a couple hours, these tags will all be dry and ready to put in jars and ready to work art. And also I wanted to mention, sometimes I'll buy these old burlap feed sacks at antique stores or flea